And we're live. Hello, everybody. Happy Thursday, February 10th. Wow, already. Well into February. Welcome. Glad you're here, whether it's your first time or if you've come back for more. We really appreciate you joining us for these live discussions and appreciate that Supconnect lets me do them because I have a ton of fun talking to people from all over the world and seeing your names. I'm starting to get to know people. Great guest today. I am lucky to know this business owner and her family. Usually it's Carolina Cup. That's the closest I could get to South Carolina. It says Carolina in the shirt. But they are involved in stand-up paddling, like a lot of people that we talk to, in so many different ways. But going to focus kind of on the business, the community that they've built, sales, the how you balance a family, so many things to talk about. And I see that she's here. Oh, you are so good, Megan. Megan Cynowa, just part of a great team, but she is the owner, founder of the Goat Boater. Oh, look at you, and you're looking so businesslike. I don't know if I've seen you with glasses before. I love it.
Can't see anymore without them.
It's a good look. Love it. Thank you for joining me today.
No worries.
Where are you? It looks like there's good stuff going on behind you. Right at home?
Behind me. This is my office at home. Yes. As long as the kids don't come falling through the ceiling, we're good.
I was going to say you could have those lovely daughters of yours come meet everybody if you want, but.
Oh no. You guys are not ready for
that. We're not ready for it. So I know you from Carolina Cup and racing, or that's when we get to hang out, which is so fun. Hopefully I'll be seeing you again in a couple months. But you guys do so much there in Tega Cay on Lake Wylie, the Goat Boater, which I'm sorry, I get wrong. I don't know why it's such a tongue twister for me. Sometimes I say border, it comes out of my mouth. But tell us about that name. You're born and raised in that area. How'd you come up with that name, and when did you start your business? Talk about that.
Okay. Well, there's a lot of different rabbit holes I could go down with just the question. My business, I started in 2015. So we're going on year 7 right now as a full-time business. The term goat boater is actually a derogatory term. And it was 2014. I was reading an old surf book. And I just finished traveling the world for 2.5 years, and I had learned how to surf, found out about stand-up paddleboarding, and I'm reading this book, and in the back there's a glossary of terms, and one of the terms was goat boater. I'm like, okay. Derogatory in the sense that surfers would peg fun at anyone who surfed with the paddles, so not just stand-up paddleboarders, but kayakers, OC1, if they would steal the wave, they'd say those darn goat boaters, according to this book. And I thought it was funny. And I thought everybody will always ask me, what does goat boater mean? And it has to stick, whether they get it right or not. Goat boater, yeah. Okay, with that, they'll remember the goat aspect of it. And this is before goat yoga came out and became popular. And I was talking to Rob at the time, and I wanted to leave my career, a very successful career, by the way, and start up a paddleboard business. And he looked at me, he said, okay, are you sure? You sure that's what you want to do? You want to leave a successful 6-figure job to start a business and make no money? And yeah, he said, okay, well, what are you going to call it? I said, Goat Boater. And he thought it was funny. And I kind of stuck with it. And then a year later, I started the whole visioning process and implementing all the plans, and here we are, and now we have a successful business. It's been great. I love it. We're on an inland lake. I wouldn't say small. It's 28 miles long here in Tega Cay, South Carolina. Tega Cay is Polynesian for a beautiful peninsula. So the entire peninsula is surrounded by water. And we operate out of Tega Cay from all the waterfront parks here. And we love it.
Oh, I love that. And I love the story. I feel like our community has a really good sense of humor. And, you know, when you're the new guy, you have to be that way. And unfortunately, surfing, some people, you know, sweepers, we have, I guess, quite a few names that are derogatory, but I love it. Just embrace it. Name your business after it. You go, Megan. I think that's a great way of just,
Right. We've done pretty good. I mean, our logo has changed up a little bit with all the race series stuff, and we've got some cool shirts and hats and all that fun stuff now with this logo, and people seem to really love it. People are buying it, and people who don't even paddleboard are buying it, and I'm just like, okay, something I did right.
You did it right. You started it right, which is great. That's an interesting story of passion when you leave something like a successful career, a successful job to do something that you love. And it can be really hard. I see that we have Terry Carlin, maybe some other store owners who it's got to be a labor of love because it is a lot of work.
Tony's on there now. Hey, Tony.
Oh, good. You're seeing some people on there?
It's going up and down.
That's me. Sorry. Trying to wave to everybody as they come on, but sometimes they jump in and out and saying hello from all over the world, which is super cool. So you live in a beautiful place I have never visited. You do a lot with building community.
We do. Yeah. That kind of falls into why I started this business. One of my big things was I wanted to be on the water. I wanted to be in nature. I wanted to find a community of people that I could call my close friends. For my whole life, I never really found those people that I soul connected with, the people that resonated with my spirit. It just felt good to be around them. And paddleboarding just gave that to me. I was able to start a business, get people on the water. Everybody was happy. It didn't matter if they were looking to race, whether they were just looking to lay on their board, whether they wanted fitness, meditation, no matter what it was, they just were able to jump into this. And I said, this is great. Like, I've found my best friends. Our best friends today are people in our paddle leagues. They're our tribe. And something to be said for following your passion and doing what you love.
That is awesome. Let's back up a little bit because you started the business in 2015. When did you first find stand-up paddleboarding? When did you see it, or what got you hooked?
It's when I was traveling the world. So I sold everything I owned in 2009, I believe it was. And I decided I was going to backpack all over the world. And I was in Costa Rica is when I first started surfing, but I think I was introduced to paddleboarding, stand-up paddleboarding, in the ocean when I was in Costa Rica. It might have been Australia, but I think it was Costa Rica. And I'd never seen it before, knew nothing of it. And I thought, okay, this looks fun. And as I traveled, I thought there's got to be a way to bring this back to an inland lake. I don't live on the ocean. I wish I did, but I don't. So how do I bring this to a small inland lake community where everybody, it's a water sport community, but nobody paddleboards? And, so I sold everything. And when I came back, I bought my first paddleboard. It was actually more of a surfboard. It was a 9.2, really Riviera Nug. It was a Riviera Nug. And funny story, I took it out and I'm on the water and I get in. And at that time, paddleboarding to me was, I'm just going to paddle from this point to this point, maybe not even a 5-minute paddle. I had my paddle backwards, no PFD, knew nothing about paddleboarding really. And I got to the other side, I sat on my board, came back, and it wasn't until years once I started the business, I realized, oh, you're supposed to put a fin in the board. I didn't even have a fin in the board. Didn't know how to fin. I still have that 9.2 Nug. I refuse to get rid of it. It's looking pretty dingy, but I love that board. I showed up at a PaddleFit class I think it was my original certifications in 2015. And Brent looked at me and he said, you're going to take the certification or not? You're going to paddle that? Yeah, what's wrong with that? And he's like, okay, great. And I've come a long way. From a 9.2 Nug, I'm riding a 14 by 21 Blackfish now. So a lot of growth.
Times are a-changing. And of course, there's, as you've already mentioned, so many ways to enjoy the water in stand-up paddleboarding. And that's so cool that you brought it to a community and that you found it traveling, which I just love. So cool that you're from that community. Did you grow up on the water? Were you like a wakeboarder or anything? Or
I have a pretty extensive history. Um, I did grow up here. I grew up on this lake. I've been on this lake for 41 years in Tega Cay on the specific lake. Our home was on the lake. We skied and wakeboard, and back then it was knee boarding. Really, most of the time we knee boarded, and we would every weekend. My mom was never a big water person, but my dad loved to be out on the boat. We were out in the water, and so that's kind of my background. I lived on the water. I mean, I went to college, went through it for a couple of years, and that's the only time I moved off. But aside from that, I moved right back to the water as soon as I graduated college. And then Rob and I have had a house on the water. And Rob is a big wakeboarder and all board sports in general for that matter. And he grew up on the lake, so it was a natural progression for us to stay on the lake. But I had a background in swimming. I had a background in anything athletic. I did it. My mom had me in everything from the time I was 5 years old. It was natural for me to end up here, essentially.
Yeah, and I know you've competed too. Weren't you a triathlete before?
Yeah, so give you the short and skinny backstory. Started dancing at a really young age, competitively. Once I got a little bit older and moved into college, I started dancing for the NBA.
Cool.
Is the National Basketball Association. So I started dancing for the NBA, and a lot of my training in those late teens, early 20s involved running, cross training, always being in the gym. It was my way to let go of my day, just to be in the water, be in the gym, whatever it was, be running. And so then I started running my first 5K. And I want to say, I didn't run I always walked 5Ks. I don't think I ran my first 5K until maybe 19, 20 years old, maybe. And I won it. And I'm like, this is great.
I'm good.
I increased my distance, and I went to a 10K, and then I did half marathons. And then I got linked up with Team in Training and that organization. And I started running for the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society, and ended up raising hundreds of thousands of dollars running marathons. I think to date I ran 5 marathons. I've done quite a number of triathlons, and then I finished up that career of running and biking and swimming with an Ironman. And my body can't take it anymore. I said, I'm done. And paddleboarding, hey, this is great. My knees don't hurt. My back doesn't hurt. I'm on the water. I'm exercising. And so there's a lot there.
Yeah. Well, what an amazing background. I can't believe how much stuff you've done in your very short 4 decades. So fitness and that side of it, and brought you to PaddleFit. And I know you're an instructor as part of one of the many things you guys do with your business. When did the racing start? Did that come in right at the beginning because you and Rob are both competitive, or a little farther along the way?
We are both competitive. That is true. And we both would say, yeah, we're not competitive. 2016 was the first paddleboard race I ever completed. And I will preface this by saying, I said over and over and over again, I'll do some paddleboard racing myself, but I'll never, ever, ever put on a race. Never going to do it. It's my first race, 2016 Carolina Cup. I was uber pregnant. It seems like every time I get in a spot where I trained really, really hard, I've got my personal best going, we end up pregnant. And then I'm off for 2 years or something, and I'm starting all over again. But yes, uber pregnant. I was racing a Dave Columba's Imagine. I was on the Icon inflatable. I'm pretty sure I came last, maybe. That was first race. And then we moved up to, we raced every single year, just kind of picked up. And I don't think it was until maybe 2019 when we said, all right, we're learning a lot more about this sport. We're getting faster. We know our boards a lot better. We're understanding the dynamic. We're understanding technique. We're able to put this one kid, with grandparents, and we spend time training. So we got a little bit more serious about racing ourselves. I started winning some races, and that was exciting as somebody who doesn't like competition. I'm winning, and then it's like, okay, all right, this is good. And then moved into 2020, and we ended up pregnant again. And here we go. We started and moved into 2021. And Rob said, "Hey, honey, I just want you to know we had just got back from Lake Powell doing an epic paddleboard trip on Lake Powell." And he says, "I signed us up. I put us on the wait list for Chattajack, which I'd always wanted to do Chattajack, but not right after having a baby and being out of shape and not trained. And let's do it. I'm like, are you nuts? This was June. We only had, Chattajack was in October. Was it October? I don't even remember now. Like, there's no way I can Chattajack in a couple of months, especially with these two kids running around. We trained, we busted our tails, and we ended up doing Chattajack. It was, luckily, apparently, it was the best year ever, which it seemed great to me. I loved it. It was awesome. So that was the longest paddleboard race I've ever done, and I feel like I did great.
And we often have non-racing listeners, so let them know how far that is.
Oh, this is huge. I get the whole non-racing thing. I work with non-racers all the time, and I love my non-racers. You guys humble me, and you make me proud, and I love you. But yeah, so after Chattajack, we were in Carolina Cup just in November. And here we are training for April. My God, we were just at Carolina Cup.
I know, isn't that funny? This one's gonna have better conditions. I know it.
Yeah,
hopefully it'll be more like your Chattajack.
Because those were atrocious. I can't believe I finished that race. And can everybody finish that race? Yes, you're awesome.
I know. Let's all high five each other. Seriously. But you said that's interesting that you were never going to do a race series, because you do have an amazing race series. It's kicking off in a couple months. And again, I haven't been to it, but I've talked to you guys about it. Really interesting races, a couple different locations. Where you live sounds beautiful. So tell us about the Goat Boater series.
Yeah, so it's the Go Boater SUP race series.
SUP race series.
Being someone who didn't want to put on a race, much less 9 races in our first year, 6 races this year. Last year when Rob came to me with doing a race, I said, no. I said, all right, what if I take on a large brunt of it? How about I take on most of the dirty stuff so that you don't have to deal with it? Because I'm like, yes, you would have to do that. I'm too busy for that. And so he agreed to do that. And my husband is amazing, you guys. He's a rock star. He's super smart. I love him very much, and he gets things done. And this race series is his baby for sure. Last year we tried to have 9 races. 1 got rained out, so we ended up with 8. And the series our goal was to bring community together. We wanted people of no matter what kind of board they had, what their experience level was, what their age was. We wanted them to come, race, and then get to know us afterwards, be able to paddle a social paddle after every race, meet new people that they could then reach out to paddle with. I know what it was like to not have anybody to paddle with in the beginning. I know what it's like to be afraid of a race in the beginning. To be able to create that culture here in this area and not be afraid of the word race. And last year, let me tell you, Rob just killed it. We both killed it, but Rob killed it. And this year we're back. This is 2nd year, and we're doing only 6 races this year. Trying to do 9 races last year was a lot with 2 young kiddos. So we're doing 6 this year, 1 each month. It kicks off April 10th. Yes, is our first race. And all those races are now up on Paddle Guru. This year, what we have changed up, we have brought back some categories. So we do have some board categories and some age categories. We are a SUP only race. So we only do stand-up paddleboarding races. We don't, no kayaks, OC1s, none of that. I don't know that stuff. That's not my deal. I want paddleboarders. I love paddleboarders. I love everybody else too, but I want paddle come and find each other. And so the first race is the 5K. We're mixing up. We have a 200-meter sprint. We have a 2,000-meter sprint with heats. We do a paddle battle that we bring in some boats that are going to make some waves for us so that we can mimic the ocean there and kind of do a little bit of what the paddle battles are typically known for. We're doing a pirate treasure race, choose your own path, and 10K this year. They're all up on Paddle Guru. They're done. They're out there. And now we're just kind of finishing up our sponsorships. We've got monster prizes this year, which has been great. The sponsors have really stepped up this year, which is something that we had never planned on doing. We had never planned on procuring sponsorship. It started with, we're just going to get our paddle league out here. We're going to get our 10 paddlers. If we get 10 paddlers, we're lucky. And the city asked us, they said, wait a minute, you're going to do this big event. How many people are you going to have? We won't have more than 10 people out here. And sure enough, we had a lot more than 10 people out at every city. And so, you know, it's great. I anticipate that this year we'll have 40, 50, 60 people a race. We max out at 60. We don't take more than 60. Our city is still very small. We still have to work within our regulations and our business license agreement. But that being said, I'm excited for this year. I'm excited for our sponsors. I'm glad that we have sponsors this year that are stepping up for those prizes. Big prizes.
Cool. Well, what a journey you've been on from saying no races. I mean, and starting, it's community, like you keep saying, on such a different level. You started with just finding your tribe and finding people at whatever level they're at. But racing is such a great way to find your community. And like you said, to do this active athletic thing and then hang out afterwards and find your people. So congratulations on the growth and how that's gone. And sounds like you're really finding your niche. Like 9 was too many, now maybe 6. So if anybody lives anywhere near or wants to travel to your area, make sure to sign up early on Paddle Guru. And it's always nice because I know we have other race directors. Just saw Jack joined us from the Northeast. Be nice to your race director, sign up ahead of time so they know how to be prepared for you. Right?
A lot. It really is a lot. All the race directors out there, I applaud all of you. There's a lot of people out there doing a lot of hard work to bring these races to the SUP community, and it's hard work. It's a lot on family. It's a lot on just the business as a whole to do a race. I mean, putting on a race is essentially a whole business, pretty much. So take care.
Yeah. So through all of this, I think you started more with the training and the instruction because it was a new sport to your area, to your lake. But then you also got into selling. So tell us about equipment that you sell and what you found like through time. Like you said, you started on a 9.2 surf style small board and now we're on a 14-foot race board and everything in between.
My vision for Goat Boater in the beginning, not only people with water and nature, but going all out. If I'm going to do this business and I'm going to follow my passion, I'm going to go out. I'm going to do it all, and I'm going to figure out ways to make it work, and I'm going to tweak it every single year. I'm going to change things if they need to be changed. I'm going to do whatever it takes to make it grow and make it good. And so at some point, I had boards. I always wanted people to be on great boards. I didn't want to I wasn't going to bring in the stuff off Amazon. Not saying they're not great boards, but I wasn't going to put my paddlers on boards that I didn't trust. Even if they were renting. My rentals, they don't go out on your standard cheap stock fleet boards. My renters, they go out on intermediate to advanced construction board because I want them to get on that board. I want them to feel it. I want them to learn it and be like, wow, I've never been on a board like that. That's an amazing board. And then I can say, hey, you know what? That's a Starboard or that's an Infinity. And yes, it is an amazing board. Let me tell you about that board. And I ended up 17, 18, people just started buying my fleet boards. So I'm selling my used boards. I'm like, all right, well, guess I got to start buying more boards. And then it just kind of evolved to, all right, well, I guess now I need to start selling new boards too. So then I started basically keeping inventory in my home. If you walked around my home right now, my kids, all the baby gates are inflatable board boxes. So inventory all through my house, and my kids are, all the rooms are blocked off with these board boxes. So yeah, I kind of moved into selling boards, and it's a game changer for a business like ours, an outfitter business. When you move into selling these type of boards, it's a niche market. It's what makes or breaks a business, in my opinion, when it comes to the paddleboard industry as a whole. It's my baby. I love selling boards. I love sales. I have a huge background in sales too. And Infinity and Starboard, I mean, they're the best boards out there, in my opinion. And not just they are. They're great boards, and I can sell them. People love them.
That's great. Yeah. No, well, that's what specialty retail is about too. And with that board comes you and Rob and your family and the community and your knowledge and your expertise. That's different than getting, a board off Amazon. 100% different. And I know you added Black Project too. Is that your latest brand?
Yep. So Black Project is amazing. Chris, I love Chris. He is on top of things. He knows his stuff, and he can communicate, which is one of the things I love about some people in this industry, is their ability to communicate, because it's lacking in the SUP industry. But yes, Chris, Black Project, love them, love their product. And so yes, we do have their paddles and their fins now, and they're new. We just started working with them this past year. Our sponsor as well as of our race series. So yes.
That's awesome. Yeah. And Chris, I've met him before, but he seems to do it all himself too, which is extra impressive, I think. He doesn't.
Myself in a lot of ways. And when we talk on the phone, we always have kind of a good conversation, because we know what each other's thinking, I think.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, balancing family, I mean, it's a challenge and a blessing to be able to bring your family to things too. But I know you guys do an amazing job. Dr. Rob, I know he's at work right now, he's a chiropractor, and but you just talk about how doing that in life. You've talked about in your stories, and then I was pregnant, and then I had another baby, and then I had another baby.
There's so much to unpack there, and if anybody dive into my story deeper at some point, you're more than welcome to reach out to me. I could talk your ear off forever about everything and nothing. Family is my core. We love our family. Before we had kids, we were huge adventure junkies, adrenaline junkies. We love to wake surf. Since we can't surf, we're on the lake, not the ocean. So we huge wake surfers. Rob was on his way at one point to being a pro wakeboarder, always active. And then we got pregnant right after marriage, very quickly. Didn't really think that was going to happen so quickly, right in the first year of opening and starting Goat Boater. I was pregnant. Didn't really see that coming. And we had, I was pregnant, and our son passed away at a very young age. And that caused a lot of turmoil. We spent months and months and months in the hospital, right first year of business. And so I found myself spending an entire day in a hospital on the computer, scheduling appointments in the hospital every day, and bookings. And then Rob and I would switch off once Jade came home from the hospital. We had her home on a monitor, and Rob would be at work during the day, and then I'd have to go work on Wednesday nights and all day Fridays, Saturdays, and Sundays. So we'd switch off. Rob would work during the day and come home, and then I'd go to work. And weekends, I was always working. He was with Jade, and we made it work. It's hard, but we're passionate people. We love each other, and our marriage always comes first. And so we just kind of found a way to make the family life work, and to be there for each other, and for Jade when she was in tiny little thing and needed so much love and care. And now with this other one, it's like, whoa, we thought the first one was hard, and now this little oops baby, she's definitely an oops baby. She wasn't planned. Our little oops baby came along. Wait, I have 2 kids now, and one, I was just starting to see the light at the end of the tunnel, seeing the light, all right, and get my life back. And then here we are. And now I'm having to figure out what to do with 2 kids while I work during the day. So it's a shuffle. I try to line up babysitters last minute. I got Jade working down on the beach with me, putting people out on rentals some days. And sometimes when River last year, I had her in the carrier half the time while I'm putting people out in the water. So we just kind of figured it out. But it's great. It's fun. Kids are fun. They're annoying sometimes, or all the time, but they're fun. They bring a whole nother to your daily life. And it's just fun to watch that.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I'd love to get some tips from you, but I don't even know which direction to start with. I'll let you choose, because having a business, you could get tips on that. Just getting into paddleboarding itself, or just getting into racing for the first time? Which one do you want to give us a few tips on?
Well, honestly, I think a lot of it depends on where you're coming from. Are you coming from the consumer, the paddler out there who's not running the business? What are tips for them? Are you coming from the business owner standpoint? What are tips for the business owner? And I would say, if you're coming from the business owner standpoint and you want to talk about growth and how to see your business grow, be willing to make changes and explore new options and jump outside the box. Be willing to think of things and map things out and try to figure out a way to make something that seems impossible work for you. I can't tell you how many hours Rob and I have spent mapping out what something would look like. And he's idea crazy, always has ideas. I'm like, Rob, stop with the idea. Business can't handle any more ideas. But being able to implement an idea that you have, how far-fetched it is, if you can make that happen, you'll see your business grow. If you're willing to change it, if you're willing to just kind of step outside the box, it'll happen for you. And synchronicity comes into play. The universe is funny. If you ask for it, the universe will deliver. You have to really want it, and you have to move forward and make the steps, follow the steps you need to get there. Now, from a consumer perspective, if I'm the consumer, I'm like, hey, I'm a new person in paddleboarding. I want to start paddling. I don't think I want to race, but I don't know. I don't know anything about paddleboarding. I would say to that person, and I do this all the time, actually, because this is a common question. I just want to get started. I want to do an intro class. What do you think about me going to buy a board right now and doing a class with you? And stop. Don't buy a board right now. You're new to paddling. This is what I would say. Don't buy a board yet. Because what most people who just start out in paddling, the first thing they want to do is they want to go on Amazon. They want to buy a $200 inflatable board. And every single time they show up at my location and they say, I bought this board and now I regret it. I regret it because I keep falling off of it. It feels like a trampoline. It's got a tear here. This is happening here. I don't know what I was thinking. I really don't know if I like paddleboarding anymore. I'm like, it's okay. So schedule a lesson. Mm-hmm. Come out. Schedule a demo with me. Come out. Or wherever you're at, find a company that is reputable, that knows their boards, that sells high, intermediate to advanced construction boards, and they know that board. They know what paddle technique is. They know the market. This is what don't go to somebody they do it part-time because they want to make a buck here and there. Go to somebody who knows what they're talking about. Learn about boards. Learn about the sport of paddling. I want people to understand that there's so much in this sport. It could be so big. And if we just learn about it a little bit and we take the time, I think most of these consumers out here, paddlers, they would love this sport. They would fall in love with it and they'd be racing in a couple of years. But I feel like we do a disservice to a lot of the paddlers out there. We just put them on a board and, hey, but no, like find somebody, learn about boards, learn about the sport, fall in love with it, find a community, find a paddle league. Hey, if you guys aren't running paddle leagues, run a paddle league. They're amazing for culture. I mean, they create the best tribes, the best people. They're all positive. They love being on the water. They love giving back to the community, and they all buy boards. and they buy over and over. So I mean, paddle leagues are great. Join paddle leagues, find your friends, and stay healthy and be on the water.
Great. Wow. There was a lot you
Yeah,
unpacked in that one.
I
So much there. And it's so true, though, about like matching people up and getting the right equipment right off the bat. And that's kind of a concern. We're excited about this new growth that we've seen during the pandemic, but a lot of people didn't have that lesson or a connection to someone who they could talk to or know about. So we're just hoping that that first equipment was good enough that they still love stand up and that it didn't turn them off from that, because that's the problem sometimes. There's some decent stuff out there that's okay to start with, but much better is to get that lesson and to find those people who can help you and talk to you about what you're looking for and match you up with the right paddle and the right board.
right people and buy the right board now. If you want to look at the industry as a whole, I mean, I don't know what's going on out there with all these boards not showing up anymore and all the shipping and all the brouhaha in the world. But if you find a really good board, buy it, because I'm not convinced at the rate we're going that this industry can continue to do as well as I hope it will if something doesn't change with regards to supply and demand
Yeah.
and all the things that are happening out there. It's tough to get good boards right now.
Yeah. We've got a lot going on. Well, how about you yourself, Megan? You've done a lot, done a Chattajack, done many Carolina Cups. Of course, you're raising family and you have a business right there. But let's say somebody was babysitting the kids in your business. Where would you and Rob want to go paddling, or what type of paddling have you not done? Do you have some dream board things, places?
Yes. It's funny because we don't get away that much, actually. And when we do end up getting a couple hours to ourselves, we end up going out in the lake on our race boards, and rather than just putzing around and relaxing, we end up hitting the juice.
Right.
And we come back and we're like, hey, we didn't actually have time together or talk, or we just paddled really, really hard. And we used to do that a lot in the beginning. We just putz paddle is what I call it, putz paddle. But I will say we went to, like I said earlier, Lake Powell. We did Horseshoe Bend and Antelope Canyon, and then we did the Colorado River below the Hoover Dam. So we just shy of 45 miles over 3.5 days. And we did that together with Gabe and KK came with us, and it was amazing. It was so great. We loved it. And some other places, there's a lot of really great places, unexplored territory within the U.S. that we'd love to go to. I'd like to go to Spain and do Majorca and do some climbing and paddling. I'd like to, we talked about doing SUP 11X, Thailand. I don't think that would actually happen with everything that's going on, but that's Rob's 40th birthday during that time. We'd like to go to Croatia. We'd love to go to Amsterdam. Then again, plenty of places here in the U.S. that we can visit and do some really great paddling. And aside from paddling, we love climbing, going climbing together. We have a climbing wall on the side of our house. Rob built a climbing wall. Rob and our buddy Greg, they built a climbing wall for Jade when she was a little bit younger because she loves to climb. And it's a full-fledged, it's all the way up the side of the house. So anywhere that we can climb is great. Yeah, going out in the boat. Love going out in the boat and not paddling. Just look at sunsets.
Yeah, well, I'm sure with your history, of course, you guys got to do some of that too. So just as someone who did raise 3 children, seasons of life, you will have more time to do these things, but I'm so glad that you guys do make the time to get on those adventures sometimes. How about your racing side? Are you, of course, putting on your own series is a lot. Is there a race like maybe on the East Coast or even somewhere else in the US or world that you hope to do someday?
Chattajack was the only one that was on my bucket list. I never really planned.
And you did it.
Yeah, I did it. And, easy peasy. Carolina Cup this past year, my goal was to always, I would never move up to Money Island or Graveyard until I filmed Harbor Island. So this past year I podiumed at Harbor Island. So, next in April, I'm moving up to Money Island. And so that'll be my next race coming up, aside from GOPA or the April 10th 5K. I'll try to do all the races that we're putting on this year as well. And then we're gonna plan on doing Olakai in Hilton Head, John Batson's race that he puts on. We plan on doing that coming up at the end, towards the end of the year. That's kind of all I have on my list right now. With the kids still being so young, it's hard to travel and race. Maybe next 2 years, once River gets that 4 or 5 age, maybe we can do some more traveling for racing and head to some of those Florida races in California one day. Maybe that would be awesome.
Yeah, great. Oh, well, what fun thoughts you have on paddling. Well, SUP is obviously just a huge part of your life and your family's life. You saw it and got hooked. You've been a water person for a long time, an athlete for a long time, an outdoor person. Could you say, you've mentioned a lot of things that you love about SUP. Do you have a favorite aspect to stand-up paddling? How do you choose one?
Well, yeah, it's everything. It encompasses everything. I can be in nature, which I love being outside. I can be on the water. Water resonates with me. It calms me down. My mind goes 1,000 miles per hour all the time, if you can't tell. So it allows me, it grounds me. I can paddle and my joints don't hurt. I got to a point, my joints hurt when I do anything anymore. So paddling allows me to just relax. But then I can also go out there and I can do my cardiovascular endurance. I can train, I can speed train, I can do what I need to do for training for races, and I can crush it. I can putz around, go dock to dock and have beers with friends if I want to. There's just things that it allows me to do, whereas I can't do all those things. And there's hardly any other sport. I don't know another sport where I can connect with all those things. And so, yeah, I mean, it's just.
Yeah. So you have transitioned a bit in your business. Would you say that your approach to paddling has changed, or you also said you're all in from the start?
No, it has changed. Hey, J-Bug, I'm on a call. I'll be right out there in a little bit. Go find Nana, please. They're sneaking up on me.
It's okay. They can come.
Sneaking up on me. They're going to start climbing over the boxes in a minute. Sorry, redirect. Where were we at?
Yeah. We were talking about if it has changed kind of your approach to stand-up paddling.
It has. With growth and understanding, and the more you learn about anything, it's natural for things to change. And for me, when I first started paddling, I love the PaddleFit approach to paddling. It taught me so much, and it's got me to where I am today, and it made me a strong paddler. As I've moved through the past couple of years, I've learned so much more about other techniques, other ways to train. I've put my mind and everything into all the knowledge that's out there with paddling to learn more. I watch a lot of Larry Kane's videos. I've done some training with Michael Booth. He's done some technique with me, and both Rob worked with him, and all of that combined, it's taught me a lot, and it's redefined the way I look at paddle technique and how people can learn to paddle, and it affects the way I teach people. So yes, I've absolutely come a long way from my early days of how I would teach people or how I viewed my paddle technique, and I'm a stronger paddler for it.
Fantastic. So back to sort of the tips, how about more like warnings? So people, we talked a little bit about equipment, but other things to avoid or not do if you're just starting stand-up paddling. So you mentioned taking a lesson being an important thing.
Yeah.
Not to run out and buy a board. What else?
I don't want to hammer this one too much. I feel like this one gets hammered a lot, but maybe it doesn't get hammered enough. The whole PFD factor. Our hobby one of our hobbies, we're talking about hobbies, we love to sit on our dock or even on our porch with binoculars and watch paddlers go by on the lake. And the stupidity that is out there it baffles me. I mean, they're out there in no life jackets, and I don't care how vain you are or your ego or what it is, that okay, you don't need a life jacket, that's fine, you're a great swimmer. But what happens when a boat hits you and you're knocked unconscious? What happens if you have a heart attack and you fall into the water and you can't get back to the surface? What happens? There's so many scenarios that could come into play, and I feel like everybody should think things through. Have a PFD on you or your board at all times. It's just smart. It's just smart, and I see it all the time. And Rob and I sometimes will go to the end of the dock and be like, "Hey, go get your PFD. You need to have one. It's the law, but two, like, it'll save your life if you get in trouble out there." And oh, we're good, we're fine. It blows my mind. So yes, everybody nails it all the time. Everybody hears it all the time. PFD. Yes, wear your PFD. Get a PFD. Be smart when you're out on the water. Waterway etiquette. Out there, you get know where to paddle. It seems so basic to me at this point in my life, but it people don't have any sort of, they don't get it. Like, know where to paddle. Know where you're at. Know the weather when you're out paddling. And I see people out there paddling backwards on their board. Like, they're standing on their board and they're paddling, but they're moving backwards. I do that.
I know. Funny, but not funny, especially the safety part. But it's so true. Some things, yeah. And to us, as it's simple in some ways. I mean, we love that about stand-up, is that it's fairly simple to learn. But there are so many things you can do wrong right from the beginning. And water knowledge, weather, is so, yeah, close to all our hearts, I think, because we've lost people who do know what they're doing. And it's Mother Nature is ever changing. And like you said, even in a lake, you could lose your board. And if you can't swim to the edge, you know, of the lake, to the bank.
High humidity in South Carolina. You caught in a storm out there, it can be ugly. Funny story. It's a good one. Almost probably 280 pound male. This is a long time back. He came out, he was paddling. He stayed pretty close to shore. He didn't go far. Didn't say on any of his forms or mention that he also had some Alzheimer's, which I'm sure when you have Alzheimer's, you may not notice that you have Alzheimer's. Having a dad who went through that, had Alzheimer's, gets out there, falls off his board, full-blown panic in the water, life jacket on, is fine. And if he swims just a little bit, he could put his feet down, he actually could touch. But it was bad for him. And I had to go out there, uber pregnant, and I rescue paddle probably 280, 290 pound male back to shore. And let me tell you, it was entertaining for sure, because it was the hard thing, not the hardest thing I've ever done, but one of the hardest things I've ever done, to have to safety paddle this guy. And that's a lot of weight to pull behind you when you're pregnant, or even when you're not pregnant. Yeah, just know what you're getting yourself into. Think about things, think about your situation, have a plan. Don't buy those PFDs that go around your neck that instantly inflate when you hit the water. I've had one of those before. A lady came out and she didn't realize that she had bought the fishing PFD that instantly inflates when you hit the water. She hit the water, fell in, and the whole thing all around her neck, and full-blown panic. Just starts freaking out in the water. I'm drowning. You're okay. You just have a different type of PFD on, but you're fine. Breathe. Know the type of life jacket you're buying. Know how to use it if something goes wrong. So yeah. Stories
Well, super important stuff. Megan, it's been so great catching up with you, learning about how the business started. I didn't know all of this, how you got started, what your family has done building your incredible business. The Goat Boater, if you live anywhere where you can get to one of their 6 great races, they're on paddleguru.com. You can sign up for them now.
come out. Have all of you come out, and big sponsors out there. Prizes from Starboard and Black Project and Infinity SUP. Lots
Woo.
of good way, and some cash purses might show up. So, come on out. Some great races, great people.
Great. Well, congratulations again on all that you're doing. Go take care of those darling girls. I look forward to seeing you in a few months, and good luck with the launch. Megan is, and we have little awards. That's from Angie and Domestic Kate Davis.
Hi.
I love these names. Yeah.
Love you.
Yeah. But thank you all, and thank you Supconnect for letting me still do these interviews. Really having fun. It was a COVID thing. Who knew it would go on for 2 years? But this part of it has been really fun for me and enjoyable to get to know great people like you doing the stand-up paddle thing big. And yeah, some other time we'll have you and Rob and the whole family. We'll grab the girls and get them on too.
But yeah, we'll see you in April.
Yeah, great stuff. Thanks so much. And Mel from Alaska, thanks for the love. We had a fire this morning in Laguna Beach that was on the news. I think it's out and we're all okay, and I didn't have to evacuate. So sorry, that was a question there. Okay, take care.
Bye. See ya.